So, Nokko might be the strongest caster Warframe in the game, and I'll show you why. I have 0 mods equipped right now. These are 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunner, Steel Path, level 175. And he kills the entire group with 3 abilities. He can do it in 2, but it takes a little longer. This is so far the only caster Warframe that I really enjoy playing. And he is insanely strong. And I have 2 builds for him. So this one here is kind of the standard build that doesn't have a helmet. This is kind of how I expect most people to kind of build him. But before we get into the build, I do want to go over all of his abilities since he is a new Warframe. So his number 1, let's start with his passive. His passive, upon receiving, actually, you know what, let's come back to the passive because his passive has to do with his other abilities. So Stink Brain. Throws a mushroom that periodically sheds poisonous spores, inflicting viral damage and status effects upon nearby enemies while also lulling them to sleep. So you put this down, big AoE of viral damage that procs every couple of seconds, and it puts people to sleep. And something to note about his mushrooms is you can actually bounce on them to re-trigger the effects. So every time you bounce on it, this thing will apply a viral effect. Bright Bonnet. Release rejuvenating mushroom that emits a radial pulse, giving Nokko and his allies energy, and applying a buff to ability strength that lasts a short time. The ability strength you get from this scales with your ability strength as well. And again, every time you bounce on it, you get energy. Reroot. This is kind of his survivability spell. He goes into his little mushroom form. He becomes completely invulnerable. He heals himself. He gains shields. And if you gain enough shields, you get overshield. And he spawns these little floating balls that you can collect that give you shields and health. His 4, Spore Spring. This is that ability that did all that damage in the beginning. It's kind of ridiculous. So he throws out a little bouncing ball. It'll target enemies and crit them. Every time it crits, it does more and more damage on the next bounce. This ability can also bounce off his mushrooms and trigger their effects. So if you put this down next to an enemy, throw the bouncy thing off it, it'll bounce from the enemy to the mushroom and give you infinite energy. It's kind of ridiculous, as long as the enemy and your ability are still alive. This is like one of the strongest flat abilities in the game, and it is very fun. His passive, however, when he dies, you have a chance to, you turn into a little mushroom, and you have a chance to run to either his Stink Brain or his Bright Bonnet. When you do that, you revive and are invulnerable for 12 seconds. All of your mushrooms disappear. Your 4 also disappears. But I believe while you are in that form, you can still collect health orbs and energy orbs and things like that. So this is kind of my base build that kind of relies on his reroute for survivability. So I did put Umbral Vitality and Intensify on. He doesn't really need the Vitality, but I liked having the little bit of extra health. Primed Redirection because he's kind of a shield frame. And then Archon Continuity is probably his best ability because Spore Spring does toxin damage. So every time it bounces, this will also apply a corrosive proc. Very useful. And then I just put, Umbral Intensify for strength, Blind Rage for strength, Adaptation to not take so much damage, Fleeting Expertise to help with the ability efficiency because you are casting a lot on this Warframe, and then Overextended for some range. Sure-Footed, I put this on pretty much every frame, and then Growing Power just for a little bit more power strength. As for Arcanes, I went with Molt Augmented. Power strength is very good on him. And then Arcane Bellicose, just because I couldn't really think of any other, very synergistic arcanes. Arcane Bellicose with Umbral Vitality gives you, an extra 25% strength. So it's kind of worth it. Let me know if there's any weird synergies that I looked over, because I couldn't really find any that were really interesting on him. But I didn't like having to rely on his reroute very much. So, because every couple of seconds I would have to go into reroute, refill my shields and health. I wasn't enjoying that. I wanted to stay out and keep casting spells using my guns. So this is what I did to him. I took off primed redirection and replaced it with catalyzing shields, and I put on brief respite instead of the growing power. This basically gives me infinite shields as long as I'm casting, or infinite shield gating as long as I'm casting. And then I replaced Arcane Bellicose with Molt Reconstruct, which gives me quite a lot of health as long as I'm casting. So I cast a lot, I'm invincible basically. And then because I put on Umbral Fiber as well, I get quite a lot more health from the Umbral mods. What did I replace? I'm trying to remember what I replaced. So Umbral mods, put catalyzing shields on. Oh yeah, I took off adaptation. And then he was still... Oh, and then I put Roar on because I felt like I didn't need reroute. And you get even more damage. With this setup, 207 base strength, plus Molt Augmented, plus Roar, plus the 62% ability strength you get from Brightbrawn. By the way, you can have 2 of these, so it's 124. And you can have up to 4 Stink Brains, by the way. He does insane amounts of damage. And then I almost don't ever even use my guns with him. I'm kind of invincible as long as I'm casting. I have infinite energy. This does enough damage to kill any enemy in the game, pretty much. And then one thing I do use, however, is he is very strong with grouping abilities, as you saw in the very beginning. It makes the bouncing, like, it goes much faster when the enemies are close together. So I've been using the Cyotid with him. This is pretty much the only weapon I've been using. I just group enemies and throw the bouncy ball at them and everything dies. If you want to see the build I've got for this, Secondary Innervate, Hornet Strike, Primed Pistol Gambit, Lethal Torrent, Primed Heated Charge, Galvanized Diffusion, Galvanized Shots, Prime Target Cracker, and then Magnetic Might, because I was running Magnetic Gas on him for my Saren build. I would probably put Corrosive on this, or Viral, but like I said, I'm not really using this for damage, but this was the build I had for my Saren, who has ways to apply Viral and Corrosive on her own. But I think I went over everything. Oh yeah, so he was still just a tad squishy for me, even with Umbral Fiber. So I did add some more health and armor through the Archon shards, and then I put a casting speed on because all I'm doing with this Warframe is casting. And then a little bit of ability duration to help counteract that fleeting expertise negative duration. So I still have positives in everything, because without that I was going into the negative duration, and it's still doable. I just preferred to have my abilities, these 2 abilities, last at least 30 seconds. So yeah, so now I'll show you what it does with my build on it, because it's ridiculous. So we're going to do Roar, group everything, cast 2 Bright Bonnets. Yeah, and you almost can't tell the difference because it kills them anyways. But it's insane. So we are going to take him into a real mission, show you what he can do against the Acolytes and what he looks like in a real-time environment. Alright guys, I wanted to do something a little different than the same old conjunction survival that I always do. So I figured an interesting way to show off the build would be to solo one of the Netracell missions, just to show that it can pretty much solo just about some of the hardest content in the game. I mean, other than like the deep Archimedia, but that's all random Warframes and shit anyways, so.
The Netracell is hidden somewhere in these labs. Sniff it out yourself.
So, one thing I believe I forgot to mention about his abilities is each mushroom can actually bounce on each other. So you can actually throw his 2 down and then throw the 1 and they'll actually bounce on the first one, although I missed there. But yeah, they'll bounce on each other and trigger the effects, so that's super nice. But I do have to go find the terminal first before we can really get into this mission, so I'm gonna go do that. See if my ult can kill this thing. Yeah, it totally can. It actually does it really well into that thing. I'm kind of surprised. Usually those things are pretty tough to kill. I did not think the spring spore was going to be able to just kill it, but it was able to bounce on it a couple of times and just nuke it basically, which is pretty sick. Ooh, let's go see what it can do against the what are these things called? The Necromech. Where are you at? Oh, where did it even go? There it is. Let's go. Yeah, it's it melted him. The spring spore melts everything. It's I can't think of another ability that does that much damage on its own. Even like stuff that like boosts your guns isn't that effective. Like, I didn't think it would be that strong against single targets like that, but if you can get a fucking mushroom next to it, they will explode. Alright, let's get this one going. And yeah, as you can see, I am using the build with the roar on it, just because, yeah, I didn't like relying on his little sprawling form to survive. I'd rather just cast my abilities and heal. I guess I could have put Arcane Reconstruct on the other build too, but then I wouldn't need the sprawling form, so might as well helmet it off, right? So I did want to mention, I did change out one of the Archon shards, but I just changed the blue armor Archon shard for a Tau Forged one, so it's kind of the same. I was planning on doing that anyways, I just didn't have it yet, and then I got one from the charity event, so that was cool. Where am I going? This way. Right, this should be the last terminal. Alright, let's go to the Netracell. So, unfortunately, one thing about doing this mission is it's technically not a Steel Path mission, so we're not going to see the Acolytes, but, I mean, you saw what it did to the Necromech, and that, I don't know what those flying enemies are called, that dropped the Entrati Laythorns. I think that's what those are called. I haven't done these missions in a minute. It's gonna melt the Acolytes, I promise. But yeah, I've gotten the Spore Spring to do like 10 million damage before, but that was in a Conjunction Survival, and they have those little clouds that boost your strength. So, but yeah, that was what, I think that was 28 million right there. 1.8 million. Oh yeah, and then you got to use the grouping too, although there's not even enough enemies in here to group because nothing is surviving, of course. And like, oh, I did die there though, wasn't paying attention. But yeah, now I'm invulnerable for 12 seconds. And I can just recast everything. So, even with my armor and shit, I'm not that tanky, but it doesn't matter. Your passive just revives you for free. Oh, I gotta go destroy the Necromite, but let's throw a mushroom at that guy. That was ridiculous. Like, what? Oh, hold on. Before I die again. Okay. Did I kill the Necromite already? No, find and destroy the Necromite, but it's not... Oh, it's down here. Okay. It's like, where the hell... Oh, it's... Oh, it's like... That's weird. It usually makes you go to another room. Where did it go now? What the hell? This is in a really annoying spot. What the heck? Jeez. Alright. Usually it makes you go to another room and kill those, but it was just in the same room under the ground. That was weird. Yeah, but like level 230 Eximus, if I can get my thing to hit him. Okay, the shield is annoying. There we go. Now it died. Oh yeah, and another thing I didn't mention about his 4. It also does an explosion every time it bounces, so you know. Okay. God damn those freaking those jade lasers, man. Where's my mushroom at? There we go. Those jade lasers hurt like a bitch. I keep forgetting to turn roar back on.
Security level dropping. Don't quit now. I gotta know what's in that Netracell.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite caster frame. So far, this is the only caster frame I really like. Although there is a Ureli build floating around where you put flares or Temple's helmet on her, and the synergy with her little bubbles is very strong. That one I do want to mess around with at some point. Haven't gotten around to that yet. Also, did you guys see the freaking dev stream? Uriel looks amazing. And see, this is what it usually does when you gotta go find a Necromite.
Reinforcing the Netracell. Your hands are tied until you knock them out.
But yeah, I also have all 4 of the negative keys on right now, and I'm still, like, invincible. Alright, where's the Necromite, though? They're usually, like, floating around this thing, right? I hear it. I've never been good at finding things in this game. There you are. Alright, so let's get back to just nuking the entire map. Yeah, and then like, if you are running out of energy, you can throw one of these down and then just bounce on it a couple times. And yeah, this gives you a lot of energy. And the fact that you can have 3 of the freaking spring spores out and 4 of the viral things, the stink brains, is insane. This is definitely probably one of my top 5 favorite Warframes now. And he's probably going to be like my go-to frame when I just don't want to think about what guns I'm bringing. And I can just run around and kill everything with just this one ability. There's a lot of enemies up here. So let's group them up. Throw that. Watch just the melt. I don't know where the rest of those enemies went. Oh, there's some up here. Group them up. Watch them melt. I don't know how it's going to work against these guys, because these guys have, like, vulnerabilities. Oh, no, I can kill those guys. Alright. Oh, look, another Necromech. I'm going to throw one mushroom down, throw that, and he's going to die in 2 bounces. Cool. Alright. Yeah. Soloing the Netracell like it's nothing. Which, to be fair, isn't that difficult anymore. I remember when it first came out, I was having a very hard time with this mission. But since I started making Warframe videos, I have learned a lot. Specifically about how to survive with Warframes. Learning how to shield gate was a huge game changer for me. And then if you just pair that with Mold Reconstruct and a way to like keep your energy up, you can basically make any frame invincible. And a lot of people are talking about just like Arcane Aegis. When that Arcane procs, you are invincible for like 30 seconds. It's kind of insane. I actually originally put Arcane Aegis on this Warframe, but I just felt like it wasn't proccing consistently enough, so I decided to give him some health and armor instead. But that is going to be it for this mission. So, alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. I did want to remind you guys one more time that we do have a dojo now. We have officially finished all of the labs, but I do need some help with the research. The research is kind of expensive, and I would like to make this clan quite large, just because since I started playing the game, any MMO, I've always wanted to have like my own clan or faction with a bunch of players in it. So if you're new or a veteran, I would love it if you guys wanted to join. If you do, just let me know in the comments. I'll send you guys an invite. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.